MCQs from SEBI share market, a financial market, the companies, act topic in UPSC prelims year 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 MCQs 1 MCQ 0, 2011. 15.1 Securities. A security means a certificate, a document indicating that its holder is eligible to receive a certain amount of money at a particular time. This could be a equity, share certificate, debt, bond, or debenture. Holder gets dividend from the profits of the company. If no profit, then no dividend. Holder gets interest and principal irrespective of whether company makes profit or not. Company's owners, proprietors, creditors of the company have last claim during liquidation, first claim. Attractive in boom period, since companies more likely to make profit, so more chances of good dividend. Although during Corona, many investors tried to buy shares cheap from secondary market with hopes of getting profit after Corona recovery. Attractive in slowdown period, since bonds provides fixed interest to the investor irrespective of profit of the company. FAQ, bond and debenture are not same. They are having internal technical differences. ANS, UPSC not asking B.com, M.com Pantry here. Then why burden brains memory card? 15.2 Financial securities market, meaning and types. Financial market is the place where buying and selling of securities takes place. Doesn't require physical location. Can be done online or telephone as well. Classify. Market subtypes: tenure, 1. Alarm clock money market, less than 1 year maturity, 2. Capital market, 1 year maturity, freshness. 1. Primary market, where new securities are issued for the first time. Helps a company or gov to connect with the investor. It has no separate physical existence, but classified like this, for economic analysis. 2. Secondary market, where the old securities are resold. It has physical existence such as Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, at Dale Street, Mumbai. 3. It provides liquidity and confidence to investors to buy new securities in primary market. Compared to a scenario if there was no market to resale used cars. Settlement, 1. Future market, where parties write contract today to buy or sell something at specific price on a future date. 2. Spot market, if bought and sold for immediate delivery. Asset, depending on what asset is traded, market can be divided into bond, debt, market, share, equity, market, gilt-edged securities market, foreign currency market, commodity market, etc. Batch, PCB 7. Classify. Market subtypes, if there was a supermall where all these products were available in one place, it will be called Universal Exchange. SEBI permitted BSE and an SE to launch such thing, 2018. 15.3 Debt instruments, bond holders are creditors to company. First claim during liquidation. Assured interest irrespective of profit of company. These debt instruments can be classified into short-term vs long-term. 15.3.1 Alarm clock short-term debt instruments. Tenure equals less than 1 year. Usually unsecured because not backed by any asset. Usually sold at discount and repurchased at face value or par value. The difference between these two prices is the interest earned by investor. Another synonym for this process, rediscount the bills. They are traded at money market and are, usually, negotiable and transferable in nature, i.e. lender can sell Usually sold at discount and repurchased at face value or par value. The difference between these two prices is the interest earned by investor. Another synonym for this process, rediscount the bills. They are traded at money market and are, usually, negotiable and transferable in nature, i.e. lender can sell to third party can demand money from borrower. They are also called near money equals asset, that is highly liquid equals can be readily converted into cash. 15.3.2 Alarm clock. Short-term debt instruments by government. 1. State Gov's Treasury bills, T-bill. But stopped since 2001. 2. Union Gov's Treasury bills, T-bill, 14, 91, 182 and 364 days, and cash management bills, CMB, up to 90 days, started in 2009. Batch, PCB 7. PCB 7, Mrunal's Economy Pillar hashtag 1C, SEBI Share Market page 188. 15.3.4 Consolidated Sinking Fund, CSF, for State Gov's repayment. Started in 1999. It has greater than 1.25 Indian rupees lakh crore by 2019. Annually, State Gov has to contribute money equal to 1 to 3% of its outstanding market loans to this fund kept with RBI. CSF is a fund outside consolidated fund of the state and public account of the state. Ref Pillar 2, CSF meant to be used for only one purpose equals repayment, a redemption of loans taken by the state government. 2020 May, RBI relaxed technical norms related CSF till to help the state govs. What about GST cess release and end-to-end market borrowing by union state? ANS Pillar hashtag 2, taxation, GST. 15.3.5 Alarm clock short-term debt instruments by borrowers other than Gov Table 1. How does this work in real life? ANS, not important, just remember one word association borrower alarm clock short-term debt instrument. Company Bill of Exchange, Hundi, Commercial Papers, Promissory Notes. Side note, currency note is a promissory note issued by RBI governor, however, he's not bound to pay any interest. He just promises to exchange it with other currency notes and coins of equal face value, more. Batch, PC. In Pillar hashtag 1A1, Merchant to Bank Commercial Bill. Banks for NBFC Certificate of Deposits. Call money at the interest rate when financial intermediaries, banks and non-banks, borrow for 1 day among themselves. Notice money same as above, but for 2 to 14 days. CBLO collateralized borrowing and lending obligation. Clearing Corporation of India Limited, CCIL, helps financial intermediaries, FI, to get short-term loans through this instrument. Repo and reverse repo equals ref. Pillar hashtag 1A2, monetary policy handout. 15.4 Alarm clock debt short-term factoring and trades. Suppose an MSME seller has sold cardboard boxes for Jai phones to Mukesh Ambani, but Mukesh Ambani says he will pay the bill next month. Presently this is an unpaid invoices. MSME seller can pledge this invoice to a factor, bank or NBFC, to avail loans. Bill discounting factoring MSME seller collects the money from buyer, Ambani, and delivers to the factor, bank or NBFC. Factor or lender, bank or NBFC, directly collects the from unpaid invoices from buyer, Ambani. 15.4.1 Alarm clock factoring regulation, amendment, Act, 2021 to amend the Factoring Regulation Act, 2011. Before after banks and only factoring companies, NBFC, allowed to give loans under this banks and all types of NBFCs allowed after registering with RBI. So now more than. Batch, PC. Before after system. There were only 7 NBFCs registered as factoring companies. 9,000 NBFCs in India can give loans. This will increase the availability of loans for the MSME. Earlier it was less. RBI given more powers to regulate this business. Earlier it was less. More legal clarity about TREDS system. Earlier this was not clear, and so MSME could commit fraud of dual financing, i.e. pledging the same and per invoice as collateral in multiple bank NBFCs. Need to register the invoice pledge factoring loan transaction on a central registry set up under the SAFISI Act. This will prevent the dual financing frauds. 15.4.2 Alarm clock, TREDS platform to connect factoring players. Just like Quicker, OLX connect buyers with sellers, the Trade Receivables Electronic Discounting System, TREDS, online platform connect the factors, bank NBFC, with the borrowers, MSME. Examples of 3 tradies platforms, M1 Exchange, RXIL, and A.TREDS. Have to register with RBI. Most famous is IXIL, owned by the Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI, and the National Stock Exchange of India Limited, NSE, State Bank, ICICI and Yes Bank. 15.5 Alarm clock debt interest rate benchmarks, LIBOR, MIBOR, MIFA. LIBOR. London Interbank Offered Rate, LIBOR, is the average interest rate at which banks in London give short-term loans to each other. Objectives: the usage and application of LIBOR. Some global banks decide their call money and notice money rates based on it. Some external commercial borrowing, Indian bizman taking loans from abroad. Some FCNR deposit interest rates, non-resident Indians depositing foreign currency savings in Indian banks to earn interest, controversy. LIBOR methodology had become unreliable and fraud-ridden in recent years. So, UK regulator ordered stopping LIBOR by the end of 2021. So accordingly, financial intermediaries across the world are changing their LIBOR-based contracts agreements to other benchmarks. E.g. Toner, Tokyo, Japan, Sarin, Switzerland, SOFR, USA, Sonia, UK sterling pound, ESTR, euro, etc. What are their full forms? How they work is not important. Hashtag. MIBOR in LIBOR definition, replace the word London, Mumbai, and global Indian, and you'll know what MIBOR is. MIFA Mumbai Interbank Forward Outright Rate, MIFA, is a benchmark that derives values from LIBOR and a few other indicators, etc. Objectives: the usage application. Similar to LIBOR. Batch, piece. Since LIBOR is expiring by the end of 2021, MIFA will also stop working because it derives value from LIBOR value. 2020 November, RBI announced working on a new Indian benchmark to address this issue. How will above things affect Indian economy in 500 ways? No Timp, even though the Hindu and Indian Express writing 800 words column it. Just look at previous MCQs. Hashtag. Black question mark ornament. Find correct statements. White frowning face asked in UPSC pre-2018. 1. The RBI manages and services Government of India securities, but not any state government securities. 2. Treasury bills are issued by Gov of India, and there are no treasury bills issued by state govs. 3. Treasury bills are issued at a discount from the par value. ANS codes: A, 1 and 2 only, B, 3 only, C, 2 and 3 only, D, 1, 2 and 3. Black question mark ornament. Which of the following is our example? S, of near money. UPSC CDS 2016 I 1. Treasury bill 2. Credit card 3. Saving accounts 4. Money market instruments. Answer codes: A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, 1, 2 and 3, D, 1, 3 and 4. Black question mark ornament. In Indian economy, non-financial debt includes underscore. Prelims 2020 Set BQ 84, 1. Housing loans owed by households. 2. Amounts outstanding on credit cards. 3. Treasury bills codes: A, 1 only, B, 1 and 2 only, C, 3 only, D, 1, 2 and 3. Black question mark ornament. Which of the following phrases defines the nature of the Hundi generally referred to in the sources of the post-Harsha period? UPSC Prelims 2020. A. An advisory issued by the king to his subordinates. B. A diary to be maintained for daily accounts. C. A bill of exchange. D. An order from the feudal lord to his subordinates. Black question mark ornament. Find correct statements. UPSC Prelims 2020. 1. Commercial paper is a short-term unsecured promissory note. 2. Certificate of deposit is a long-term instrument issued by the Reserve Bank of India to a corporation. 3. Call money is a short-term finance used for interbank transactions. 4. Zero-coupon bonds are the interest-bearing short-term bonds issued by the scheduled commercial banks to corporations. Codes: A, 1 and 2 only, B, 4 only, C, 1 and 3 only, D, 2, 3 and 4 only. 15.6 Long-term debt instruments. Tenure equals 1 year. Further subdivision based on who is the borrower. 15.6.1 Colonial era Gov. To borrow money. 1. Coupon bonds contain detachable coupons. Coupons are presented to the issuer to claim the back interest. Therefore, bond interest rate is also called coupon rate. 2. Zero coupon bonds are sold on discount and repurchased at face value, do not have any coupons. 3. Bearer bonds, not linked to a PAN card, Aadhaar card or passport, voter card or social security number. Anyone who presents it to the issuer will get interest and principal. Usually issued during the wartime. 15.6.2 Modern day government to borrow money. Government securities, dated securities, sovereign bonds, Kisan Vikas Patra, etc. More in Pillar 1D, Financial Inclusion Lecture, also called gilt-edged securities because repayment is assured by government. But then, they give lower interest rate because of low risk to the investor. Global credit rating agencies gives rating to sovereign bonds. AAA is the best and highest given to US Treasury bonds. India's rating is BAA equals moderate risk of default. World's top 3 credit rating agencies Fitch, Moody's and Standard & Poor have pro-US, EU allegiance. Critics allege these 3 agencies do not give adequate upgradation to the gov bonds of India, China, Russia despite the economic growth. 15.6.3 Bonds by modern day gov to curb gold consumption. Real interest rate equals nominal interest minus inflation. When real interest is negative, purchasing power black down pointing double triangle despite black up pointing double triangle in money quantity in bank account. Then people prefer to park money in gold or real estate, which is not very beneficial to economy. So 15.6 5.6.3.1 Inflation Index Bonds, IIB. RBI launched in 1997, 2013, 2018 to provide positive real interest rate to household, thereby reducing the gold consumption and current account deficit, CAD, and weakening of rupee against dollar, else expensive crude oil petrol, diesel inflation, more in pillar #3. E.g. Inflation Index National Savings Securities Cumulative, INSSC, with interest rate equals CPI plus 1.5%, and principal also protected against inflation. Batch, PCB7, Black question mark ornament MCQ. Find correct about inflation index bonds, IIBs in India, prelims 2022, 1. Government can reduce the coupon rates on its borrowing by way of IIBs. 2. IIBs provide protection to the investors from uncertainty regarding inflation. 3. The interest received as well as capital gains on IIBs are not taxable. Codes A, 1 and 2 only, B, 2 and 3 only, C, 1 and 3 only, D, 1, 2 and 3 black question mark ornament MCQ. Find correct statements about convertible bonds, prelims 2022, 1. As there is an option to exchange bond for equity, convertible bonds pay a lower rate of interest. 2. The option to convert to equity affords the bondholder a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices. Codes A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, both 1 and 2, D, neither 1 nor 2. 15.6.3.2 Sovereign Gold Bond, 2015. RBI issues them on behalf of government denomination, gold grams. But RBI Gov doesn't promise to give you gold. They only promise to give you equivalent of latest gold price on maturity. Annual interest 2.5 to 2.75%, depending on which year's batch you bought. Tenure. After 8 years you get the amount equivalent to prevailing gold prices at that time. Eligible investor categories: Indian resident individuals, Hindu undivided families, HUFs, trusts, universities, and charitable institutions. How much can you buy? Minimum 1 GM to max up to 20 kilograms depending on investor's category. From where to buy? While RBI sells it but customers buy it via following outlets: banks, only selected types of banks, post offices, selected stock exchanges, NSE and BSE, and a few other institutions. Benefit for challenges: reduce the import demand for physical gold and shift a part of the domestic savings used for the purchase of gold into financial savings. More in pillar #3A along with gold monetization scheme. 5.6.4 Long-term debt instruments by companies. 1. Bonds, British term, debentures, American term. Internal difference not important. 2. If the company has high risk of default on repayment, the credit rating agencies will mark it as junk bonds, BB to D grade, e.g. Illinois, and FS. Such company will have to offer a very high interest rate when issuing bonds next time. 3. Redeemable bonds will repay regular interest and will return principal on maturity. 4. Irredeemable bonds will pay only interest but no principal returned. Sometimes issued by PSB to meet Basel capital requirements. Although in reality they offer redemption after 5-10 years when holder has option to redeem principal and exit. Ref. Pillar 1B2 equals AT1 bonds. 5. Non-convertible bond debenture equals can't be converted into shares. 6. Hybrid instruments, issued as bond but can be converted into share. E.g. optionally fully. Convertible debentures, OFCD. 5.6.5 Long-term debt instruments, other issuers issue objective. ULB urban local bodies issue municipal bonds to borrow money from public. Ahmedabad was first to launch municipal bonds, 1998. 2020 Lucknow, 9th city in India, and first in North India. BRICS Bond 2014 BRICS nations had set up the New Development Bank, NDB, HQ, Shanghai, China. Later it launched BRICS bonds to mobilize money for its infrastructure loans. Denomination, US dollars. World Bank. 2018, launched world's first blockchain offered new debt instrument called Bond I, sold in Australia using Ethereum blockchain technology. Tenure, 2 years at tilde 2% interest. Denomination, Australian dollars, hence also called kangaroo bond. Evergrande Crisis. Evergrande is a Chinese real estate developer company facing trouble repaying its bonds. Foreign investors panicked, resulting in crisis in Chinese and global financial markets. How? Not imp. 5.6.6 Long-term debt instruments, Masala, Maharaja, Panda Bond. Masala bonds, these rupee-denominated bonds issued outside India to borrow money for Indian companies. World Bank sister agency International Financial Corporation, IFC, launched Masala bonds to help Indian public sector and PVT sector companies. 2015, RBI allowed Indian entities to launch such Masala bonds. 2017, National Highways Authority of India, NHAI, also issued Masala bonds in London Stock Exchange to mobilize money for Indian highway projects. 2019, Kerala became the first state of India to issue Masala bonds. Its Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund Board, KIF, issued Masala bond at the London Stock Exchange. Denomination, total size, 21.5 billion Indian rupees. Tenure, 5 years. Masala bonds are usually issued by institutions with AAA rating. Since KIIFB has BB rating, hence offered higher interest rate, tilde 9.7%. In currency is called non-Chinese China renminbi equals yuan, panda bonds non-Australian Australia Australian dollar kangaroo bonds non-Indian India rupee Maharaja bonds, Indian or non-Indian on behalf of Indians. Outside India rupee Masala bonds. Non-Taiwanese entity Taiwan other than Taiwan dollar. Formosa bond. 15.6.7 long-term debt instruments, special purpose, surety bonds. Party number 1 road contractor pays fees, premium, to party number 2 insurance company. Insurance company gives him a surety bond. Road contractor gives this surety bond to party number 3 highway ministry. If the road contractor is not finishing project within prescribed time limit, a quality limit insurance company will pay to highway ministry. Earlier, insurance companies were not allowed to issue surety bonds in India. So contractors had to submit bank guarantees to Gov. But then Budget 2022 said we'll allow surety bonds. IRDAI will regulate this. Subtypes of surety bonds, bid bonds, performance bonds, advance payment bonds and retention money bonds. But we will not study them or their internal difference. 15.6.8 long-term debt instruments, special purpose bonds MISC. Batch, PCB7, Mrunal. Proposed, console bonds for Corona revival. US Gov, 1870s, and British Gov, 1917, had issued console bond. Console is short form for consolidated annuities. Console bonds have no maturity date. They are perpetual bonds that paid 4 to 5% interest rate, for an infinite time period. In theory they don't repay the principal amount back to investor. Thus, they are irredeemable bonds. However, in reality, the Gov may redeem, buy back, the bonds after certain years, by paying principal to the investor. Some economists suggesting Indian Gov should issue console bonds for post-corona economic revival. Proposed, elephant bonds for black money. 2019 May, Commerce Ministry's Dr. Surjit S. Bola Committee to improve India's share in global trade suggested elephant bonds. Tenure, 25 years. People declaring black money will be required to invest X%. To be used only for infrastructure projects. Green bonds. For renewable energy, pollution control, environment-friendly projects. World's first green bond launched by World Bank, 2007. India's first green bond launched by Yes Bank, 2015. BRICS New Development Bank issued yuan green bonds, 2016. Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, IREDA, launched India's first Masala Green Bond at London Stock Exchange, 2018. 2021, Ghaziabad Municipal Corporation, Uttar Pradesh, issued first ever green municipal bond in India. 2021, India's first ever euro currency denominated green bonds by Power Finance Corporation, PFC, an NBFC company under Power Ministry. Blue bond. A subtype of green bond, where money borrowed for climate-resilient water or marine fisheries projects. E.g. 2018 Seychelles issued world's first blue bond to expand its marine protected areas and fisheries sector. ESG bonds money is invested in bonds of companies having good track record of environment, social and governance, ESG. Thundercloud and rain catastrophe bond. Gov or insurance company issues such bond. Investor is promised with high annual interest rate. But if a natural disaster happens, his principal will not be returned. If disaster doesn't happen, then principal will be returned. Batch, PCB7, Mrunal's Economy Pillar #1C, SEBI Share Market page 197. 2019, SEBI issued 300 crore Indian rupees, worth women's livelihood bonds, with the help of World Bank, UN Women Org etc. These bonds will be offered to high net worth individuals, HNI, impact investors, rich people interested in indirect social service, etc. They'll earn 3% annual interest rate for tenure of 5 years. Money collected SIDBI Microfinance Institutes, MFI, loan to individual women entrepreneurs in food processing, agriculture, services etc. 2021, Skill Impact Bond, by National Skill Development Corporation, NSDC, with help of global partners from UK, Dubai etc. $14.4 million for skilling 50,000 Indian youth job. Zero coupon, zero principal instrument. Issued by a not-for-profit organization, NPO, for social service. They repay neither principal nor interest. FAQ, then why don't they simply accept it as donation? ANS, maybe PR, media drama exercise. Maybe there is tax saving in it. Newspaper didn't bother to explain, so I didn't bother to Google. Hashtag. Star and Crescent Sukuk Bond, Islamic Bond. It is a Sharia-compliant bond instrument used in Islamic finance. Was in news because Pakistan Gov issued such bonds. How it works. In which currency is it issued? How it's different than ordinary bonds. Raised hand no timp for exam, after looking at old papers. Black question mark ornament find correct statement about IFC Masala bonds, UPSC pre-2016, 1. The International Finance Corporation, which issues them, is an arm of the World Bank. 2. They are repeat-nominated bonds and are a source of debt financing for public and private sector. Answer code, A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, both 1 and 2, D, neither 1 nor 2 black question mark ornament, which one of the following is a viable alternative to term loans for raising debt finance by large publicly traded firms? UPSC INS 2018, A, shares, B, debentures, C, asset loans, D, gold loans 15.6.9, hourglass with flowing sand electoral bonds, 2017. Batch, PCB7, Mrunal's economy pillar. Announced in Budget 2017 notified by Department of Economic Affairs, Finance Ministry. Only SBI can issue at present, and in multiples of 1,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, Rs.1, 00, 000, Rs.10, 00, 000, and Rs.1, 00, 000, 000. When? For 10 days at the start of each quarter. January, April, July and October. However, during Lok Sabha election year, can sell for another 30 days. Who can buy? Only an Indian citizen or company registered in India deposit money in their bank account use that to buy electoral bond, after giving certain KYC documents. So, electoral bond can't be bought anonymously or directly with cash. Electoral bonds can be donated only to a political party registered under Representation of the People Act 1951 RPA, and which has secured 1% of votes polled in last Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha elections. Validity. Only 15 days from date of purchase. Within that time, buyer must donate, and political party must deposit in its SBI current bank account. No interest payable. Characteristics of electoral bonds. Paper physical format, not DMAT, electronic format. Bearer instrument, donor or recipient's name not mentioned, promissory note, promises to transfer money in bank account, interest-free banking instrument, zero interest payable to anyone. Can't sell it to third party, can't pledge it for loans. Benefits of electoral bonds. Transparency in political funding. Reducing influence of cash and black money in election, confidentiality to donor, he can give to any political party without his wife, staff, CA, lawyers, journalists, local goonsec. Knowing the name of recipient political party. The 15th of June, 10, bond yield, yield inversion, negative yield bond yield, more in pillar hashtag 1A2, operation twist, yield inversion, not important, but you can do PhD here youtube.com/watch question mark. 15.7 scales equity instruments. Equity holders are called owners or proprietors of the company. If company makes profit, they get dividend. They've last claim during liquidation. Keywords features. Ordinary shares have voting power in the meetings of shareholders. Last claim during liquidation. Preferential shares. During liquidation, these investors will be given money before the ordinary shareholders. Further subtypes: I with voting power, 2 without voting power. Sweet equity shares sold at discount to directors and employees for their value addition to company. The amount is regulated under Companies Act. Raised hand sweat equity. 1. What is this? Not important. 2. How different from sweet equity? Not important. 3. Repeating for third time for babushonas equals not important. FAQ. I'm a commerce graduate, hotshot MBA Walla, and I've 500 Jat KE counter arguments. ANS, good. PLZ, keep it with yourself. This course for teaching some basic one-liners for seeking MCQ. UPSC not asking B.com, M.com PhD stuff from here. Then why burden brains memory card with extra info? ESOP. Penny stock. Shares whose market price remain excessively low compared to its face value. Such pathetic companies give zero or little dividend. FAQ. I'm a commerce graduate, share market KA hotshot trader, and I've 500 JART KE counter arguments. ANS, good. PLZ, keep it with yourself. This course for teaching some basic one-liners for seeking MCQ. UPSC not asking B.com, M.com PhD stuff from here. Then why burden brains memory card with extra info? Blue chip stocks shares of a nationally recognized, well-established and financially sound company with a history of generating good dividend. Venture capital funds VCF are professional firms helping startup companies with seed capital. Could be debt, equity, or hybrid. Angel investors. Rich person helping startup companies out of his hobby, passion, profit motive, or time pass. E.G. Ratan Tata in Urban Ladder app could be debt, equity, or hybrid. Related topic, pillar #2, angel tax in budget or black money. Corporate strategic investor. Invests in startup company with goal of acquiring the company or its technology at later date. Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme equals Gov gives income tax benefit to. Batch. PCB7, Mrunal's Economy Pillar #1C, SEBI Share Market page 200. Started in 2012 people who invest in the share market for the first time. Discontinued by budget 2017. Share pledging. When promoter of company e.g. Mukesh A. of Reliance or Subhash Chandra of Z Group pledges his shares as collateral to borrow loans from a bank, NBFC. Black question mark ornament. What does venture capital mean? Asked in UPSC pre-2014, A. A short-term capital provided to industries, B. A long-term startup capital provided to new entrepreneurs, C. Funds provided to industries at times of incurring losses, D. Funds provided for replacement and renovation of industries. Black question mark ornament. An individual investor who invests in the e-project usually during an early stage is UPSC IES 2020, A. Corporate strategic investor, B. Founder capital, C. Angel investor, D. Venture capital. 15.8 Scales methods of issuing shares. Share have printed price on the certificate called face value or par value. If they are sold at higher price than face value, it's called premium value. That usually happens when investor is confident of getting high dividend or return on his investment. Related keyword, price earnings ratio, P/E ratio, what it means no TIMP. Initial public offer, IPO. Company hires an underwriter, usually a merchant bank, investment bank, for a fee. Underwriter drafts red herring prospectus for SEBI approval. Then, underwriter invites application from public and sells them shares at face value or higher. If less people subscribe, then underwriter will buy the unsold shares by himself. Batch, PC. Side note, SEBI's Innovators Growth Platform Framework equals it is a set of easy, relaxed rules to help startup companies to launch their IPO shares. Follow on public offer, FPO. If company had already issued IPO shares previously, and now again issuing more shares to obtain more capital, it is called FPO. Rights issue, company issues additional shares, but gives first right to existing shareholders to buy them. If they refuse, then offer to outsiders. Other methods or terms. Offer for sale, private placement, a qualified institutional placement, a QIP, issuing bonus shares, a share splitting, a share swap, a share buyback, a PE ratio, etc. Equals not IMP. However, to satiate your curiosity, you may self-study them from Investopedia, but that's not the best use of your time. 15.8.1 Scales IPOs, big-sized IPOs in recent years. 2019. Saudi Arabia's public sector oil company Aramco issued IPO worth greater than $25 billion. It was listed at Riyadh's Tadawul Stock Exchange. 2020, Jack Ma, founder of China's e-commerce company Alibaba. He started A&T company to provide financial services such as loans, insurance, mobile payment, app Alipay IPO worth $30 billion S20 and S21. No of IPO issuing companies have black down pointing double triangle, 134 of 2017, 103, 2018, 49 to 2019, which indicates problems like protectionism, equals trade war, nations imposing heavy tax on imported items to protect local industries. Ref, Pillar 3, NPA, bad loans. Ref, Pillar 1B2, slowdown in consumer demand by Corona equals preventing some of the companies from expanding further. 2021, share market revival. Many new IPOs launched, e.g. Zomato, Paytm, company name. 197 Founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Nayaka Fashion E-commerce, founder Falguni Nair. Became richest self-made woman billionaire of India. 15.8.2 Scales IPOs LIC and FDI in LIC. Refer to pillar #1D1, insurance sector. 15.8.3 Scales IPO Special Purpose Acquisition Company SPAC. SPAC is a type of company which does not do production of goods and services by itself, so it's also labeled as shell company, a blank check company. It is created only to acquire share, equity, capital from the public through initial public offering, IPO, and use that money to buy or acquire another company. If the acquisition is not made within 2 years of the IPO, the SPAC is delisted and the money is returned to the investors. Why in the news? USA's IMGII is a NASDAQ stock exchange listed special purpose acquisition. Batch, PCB7, Mrunal's Economy Pillar. Company is SPAC. IMGII acquired an Indian company, Renew Power, through this process. 15.8.4 Scales ADR, a GDR, shares in Videsh Locker. Figure 1, SEBI. A non-American company wants to mobilize money from American share market, but does not want to go through the lengthy and complex process of registration with the American share market regulator. Then such non-American company gives its shares to an American bank. Based on those non-American shares, the American bank will issue American Depositary Receipts, ADR, and sell them to American investors. Denomination, USD. Global Depositary Receipt, GDR same as above, but when single bank issues receipts for investors in multiple countries. Denomination, usually USD or Euro. Share issuing company deposits his company's shares in a bank of that bank issues in local market in currency. Non-American company American bank issues ADR in dollar. In American share market non-Indian company Indian bank issues Bharat Indian Depositary Receipt IDR in Indian share market 15.8.5 scales Atmanoba reforms in ADR a GDR a Bharat DR 2 technical getting outdated so deleted from latest handout. 15.8.6 initial coin offering ICO. Figure 2 cryptocurrency. Company wants investors money for launching new cryptocurrency or service app related to an existing cryptocurrency. Then, it'll issue initial coin offering, ICO, investor subscribes to it, and receives tokens and not shares. Investors can use the tokens to buy company's coins, services, or may sell it. Batch, piece to a third party. RBI has cautioned Indians not to invest in such instruments because of the dangers which we already learned in the handout pillar #1A1, Bitcoins. 15.9 Stock exchanges a secondary market, meaning and examples. Shares are issued through IPO at primary market. Then, they can be resold at secondary market, commonly known as share market or stock exchange or bourses. World's oldest, Amsterdam Stock Exchange, Netherlands, 1602, Asia's oldest, Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, 1875, India Stock Exchanges chronology, BSE ABAD Kolkata NSE, early 90s. Just like banks have core banking solutions for e-banking, stock exchanges have their electronic platforms for trading. E.g. Bolt, BSE's online trading system, NEAT, National Exchange for Automated Trading. They communicate using VSAT, Very Small Aperture Terminal, satellite. 15.9.1 Social Stock Exchange. It is a market for buying, selling shares, bonds, mutual fund for projects, organizations related to hunger, malnutrition, poverty, gender equality, LGBT welfare, rural sports, slum area development, affordable housing, etc. Budget 2019 will set up a social stock exchange under SEBI's regulation. It'll help social enterprises and voluntary organizations to raise capital as share, bond, mutual funds for eradicating hunger, malnutrition, poverty, gender equality, LGBTQIA+ communities, rural sports, slum area development, affordable housing. Then SEBI set up Ishad Hussain panel to study it. Then SEBI set up Harsh Banwala panel to study it further. They've given recommendations, but no TIMP. 5.9.2 Secondary market, significance. Black down pointing double triangle cost of transactions. You don't have to search around for buyers or sellers manually. Providing liquidity to financial assets. Facilitating price discovery of shares or bonds. Investor sells securities in secondary market, could be reinvested to a new company's IPO in primary market contributes to economic growth. 15.9.3 Demat account. Figure 3. If shares and bonds are traded in paper form, then transactions are slow and prone to the risk of theft, forgery and fire. Depositary is an organization that holds the securities, like shares of Bondsec, in electronic, equals dematerialized form. Then facilitates its trading online. Upon client's request, depository can rematerialize it as well, i.e. giving physical, a hard copy of share, a bond, etc., to client. Customer must open a Demat account in a depository partner, DP, which can be a bank or an NBFC. SEBI regulates them under the Depositories Act 1996. Notable examples. Central Depository Services Limited, CDSL, owned by BSE, HDFC, Canara Bank, etc. National Securities Depository Limited, NSDL, owned by SBI, IDBI, UTI, NSE, etc. NSDL also has RBI license to operate payment bank. 15.9.4 Demat ASBA reforms scams to Rupal Punchhole, 2005, opened multiple fake Demat accounts to increase the chances of getting share allocations in IPO. Then she'd sell such shares in stock exchange for higher prices. Subsequently, SEBI made PAN card, issued by income tax debt, compulsory for opening Demat accounts. SEBI also introduced ASBA, an application supported by blocked amount. It allows the underwriter to block the amount in IPO invest applicant's bank account, but only IF shares allotted to the applicant, his bank money, will be deducted. ASBA benefits. 1. Only serious investors with sufficient bank balance can apply. 2. Investor continues to earn bank interest on his blocked amount until the process of IPO share allotment is over. 15.9.4.1 ISIN number International Securities Identification Number ISIN is a unique 12 characters, consisting of both letters and numbers. It's a serial code to identify securities, e.g. Reliance Industries Limited shares ISIN, INE 002A01018, Infosys shares, INE 009A01021. Prevents mistakes in buying and selling shares or bonds of companies with similar sounding names. Facilitates the digital transactions through Demat account. Batch, PCB7, RBI issues ISIN for GSEC a T-bill. NSDL issues ISIN for securities other than GSEC a T-bill. Budget 2019, technical reforms in ISIN. How? Not imp. 15.9.5 Types of investors, depending on buying capacity. 1. Qualified institutional buyers, QIB investors with expertise and financial muscle to make large investments in capital markets. e.g. mutual funds, insurance company, foreign venture capital funds, etc. SEBI has separate registration norms for them. A. Anchor investors. They are a subtype of QIBs who are offered shares before IPO launch. This gives confidence to other investors to subscribe the given IPO. 2. Retail investor. An individual investor who is not a QIB. Underwriter will keep quota for each category of investors, as per SEBI norms. 15.9.6 types of investors, depending on buying behavior. 1. Jobbers, full-time engaged in buying or selling securities using money from their own pockets. Whereas brokers are commission agents, buy or sell using money or shares of their clients. 2. Stag, male deer, he buys newly issued securities from primary market and sells them in secondary market for quick profit. 3. Bull, optimistic speculator, who hopes share prices will rise, black up pointing double triangle, so purchases, to sell them later at much higher price. Just like a bull tends to throw his victim up in the air, the bull speculator stimulates the price to rise. 4. Bear, a pessimistic speculator, who fears prices will fall, black down pointing double triangle, so he sells. A bear usually presses its victim down to ground. Similarly, bear speculator tends to force down the prices of securities. 5. Time of day trading, intraday trading, individuals buy and sell shares over the internet over a period of a single day's trading, with the speculative intention of profiting from small price fluctuations. Batch. Further subtypes with various animal or bird names can be found on Investopedia, but with poor cost benefit in exam. Hashtag 15.10 Sensex and other notable indices. Sensex, sensitive index. It's the weighted average of free float market capitalization, FFMC, of 30 companies, selected by Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, S officials Nifty. National Stock Exchange, NSE, S index of 50 companies. Nike. Tokyo Stock Exchange index of 225 companies. Sensex, when does it go up goes down, when RBI's soft, easy monetary policy, cheap loan, and credit cards consumers to spend more profit to company more dividend, investor thinks better I buy more shares to get more dividend, bullish. Tight monetary policy, more in pillar hashtag 1A2. Peace, economic boom, a prosperity, political stability, cross swords war, recession, political instability, bearish market. When government hikes foreign direct investment limits, when Gov reduces FDI limit. Merger acquisition, new product launched, environmental clearance given to factory CEO, MD arrest, FIR, court slapping fine, media exposing scandal. 15.10.1 MSCI Emerging Market, EM, Index. MSCI is a New York-based company that publishes various type of stock index indicators. Its MSCI Emerging Market, EM, Index tracks equity, share, performance of 1,400 plus companies in 25 emerging market countries including India. 2022, Russian companies removed from this index. Due to Ukraine war, MSCI weightage given to India, black up pointing double triangle, Western foreign investors may bring more money towards Indian share market in future. S22 has also given big descriptions about how much weight is given to Indian companies in this index, and how rivers of milk and honey are flowing, but I am not finding such technical details very useful from exam point of view. Batch, PCB 15.10.2, Scales force margin. Figure 4, Corona. French word for superior force. It refers to unexpected external circumstances that prevent a party to a contract from meeting their obligations. E.g. acts of God, natural disasters, epidemics, war, terror attacks. In such cases, courts may not punish party for disowned contract. E.g. Corona, COVID-19, virus. Singapore, Gov put restrictions on entry of Chinese Singapore construction firms facing labor crunch, invoked force majeure to clients. We can't finish building your homes, offices in time. Coronavirus, 55 million people infected across the world, as of 2020 October. Restriction on global travel and trade. Investors fear that companies will not generate much profit. Many contracts or payments will be stuck by force majeure. So, large-scale withdrawal, exit of share investors from stock exchanges across the world. Even the BSE Sensex fell by 1,400 plus points in a single day in 2020 June month. However, in later months, share market has black up pointing double triangle significantly. 15.11 Share market, 2020 impact of Corona S21 Vol 2 CH4. Observed when comparing year 2020 Jan to December to 2019, Nifty 50 and BSE Sensex both have greatly increased black up pointing double triangle. Stock exchange volatility declined black down pointing double triangle, ESP, after March 2020, as measured by India VIX index of NSE. Share prices of pharma, IT companies black up pointing double triangle, but airline and luxury goods of fashion black down pointing double triangle. Biz of mutual funds black up pointing double triangle, incoming foreign portfolio investment, FPI, has black up pointing double triangle, $270 billion, more in pillar hashtag 3A. 2020 initial months of lockdown. Black down pointing double triangle due panic among investors. Force majeure, but then black up pointing double triangle because 1. Cheap loans of expansionary monetary policy. Some of that money may have entered the share market through to large investors. 2. Work from home plus RBI loan moratorium may have encouraged many service sector employees to invest in the share market. 3. Unprecedented demand and profit for IT and pharma sector encouraged the investors to park their money in such shares at very high price. One 5.11.1 Share market 2022. IPO bubble burst, case of Paytom. S22 2021, more than 70 IPOs issued worth nearly 90,000 Indian rupees crores. This is higher than in any year in last decade. More than 2 crore retail investors have opened a Demat account in 2021. 2021 October, Sensex and Nifty crossed 61,000 and 18,400 respectively on October 18, 2021. However, by 2022 March, these stock indices have started to fall because of FPI pullout by Fed tapering and Russia war. 2021 November, Paytm collected 18,300 Indian rupees crore from IPO. Company's name is 197 Communications, CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma. Other partners China's Alibaba Ant Group, 6%, Japan's SoftBank, and Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Stag, Male Deer, investor buys shares in IPO, initial public offering in the primary market, with hopes of selling it at a very high price on listing in secondary market. Often they get lucky with almost 80 to 100% profit, but their game plan failed in Paytm. IPO 2021 November, Paytm primary market price 2,150 rupees, but on day one of listing, in the secondary market, Paytm fell by almost 25%. By 2022 March fallen to 750 Indian rupees, that is greater than 60% loss to investor. Car trade, Zomato etc. also trading at loss. Reason? General slowdown in the share market by Fed tapering at FPI pullout, Ref. 1A2, Russia-Ukraine war. High valuation of Paytm IPO, 2,150 Indian rupees per share, but institutional investors, mutual fund, pension fund etc., not very confident of the growth prospects of Paytm. Once upon a time, Paytm had superiority but faces stiff competition from NPCI's UPI BIM, MobiKwik, PayU, PhonePe etc. Startup bubble, no free lunches in economy, said Raghuram Rajan. Cashback discount is given to build subscriber base to create hype. Ultimately, startup founders recovered all the cashback money from Paytm retail investors, who lost 25% on listing day. This could also negatively affect the future IPOs of startup companies. Batch, PCB. Ethical aspect, retail investors, with huge greed, were blindly applying IPOs, hoping to 2x double their money. At some point, they were bound to pay for excess greed. 25. 15.11.2 share market, impact of bond yield. Bond yield is the profit you make on bond investment. More in pillar hashtag 1A2. Op twist, if Mr. Bide buys 100 Indian rupees principal bond with 10% interest equals his yield equals 110 to 100 Indian rupees. 100 Indian rupees investment equals 10%, but if he sells it to Mr. Jetha at 90 Indian rupees, then Jetha's yield equals 110 to 90 interest 90 Indian rupees investment equals 22% profit. Thus bond yield, profit, black up pointing double triangle, if you manage to buy bond at a cheaper than the original face value price. 2021 February March. When bond yield black up pointing double triangle, some investors sold their shares of the low performing companies to invest into bonds. Share market black down pointing double triangle fell for some days or weeks. Black question mark ornament MCQ. In the parlance of financial investment, bear denotes UPSC CDS 2012 A, an investor who feels that the price of a particular security is going to fall. B, an investor who expects the price of a particular share to rise. C, a shareholder who has an interest in a company, financially or otherwise. D, any lender, whether by making a loan or buying a bond. Black question mark ornament MCQ. Which of the following statements is correct? UPSC CDS 2012 I-1. Nifty is based upon 50 firms in India. 2. Nifty is governed and regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. 3. Nifty is the stock index of Bombay Stock Exchange. Answer codes: A, only 1, B, only 2, C, only 3, D, 1 and 3. 15.12 Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI. HQ Mumbai, 1988, formed by an executive order, 1992, became statutory body powers increased through amendments in 1999 and 2014. Now it can order search and seizure, attachment of Batch, PCB7, Mrunal's economy pillar hash. Properties, arrest and detention. SEBI board composition, chairman plus 1 officer from RBI plus 2 officers from union government plus 5 members appointed by union government. Chairman, up to 5 years 65 age. Reappointment possible. 2022, Madhabi Puri Butch, first woman chairperson in history of SEBI. She replaced Ajay Tyogi, ex-IAS. Selection was done by Financial Sector Regulatory Appointments Search Committee, FS-RASC, headed by the Cabinet Secretary, IAS. Regulates process of issuing securities, bonds, shares, IPO, ETF, REIT, INVITs, etc., using the Securities Contracts Regulation Act, 1956 SCIA, regulates places, depositories, stock exchanges, commodity exchanges, etc. Regulates persons of investors, brokers, fund managers, public limited companies, etc. Regulates any collective investment scheme, CIS, of 100 Indian rupees CR in the aftermath of Sahara. Scam and chit fund scams. Further appeal, Securities Appellate Tribunal, SAT, Supreme Court. Same SAT also hears appeals against the orders passed by Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, IRDAI, and Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, PFRDA. More in pillar hashtag 1D. SEBI has scores online portal for complaint. SEBI has securities market trainers, SMARTS, program for investor education, SARTHI app, SEBI's app for investor awareness. 15.12.1 Scale Securities Market Code Budget 2021 will create a single new law named Securities Markets Code by merging older Acts 1, SEBI Act, 1992, 2, Depositories Act, 1996, 3, Securities Contracts Regulation, Act, 1956 4, Government Securities Act, 2007. Benefits. Same as the bullet points written in conclusion of SEBI Investor Charter. 15.13 SEBI Investor Charter. Definition: a citizen's charter is a document of commitments made by a government agency to the citizens in respect of the services being provided to them. E.g., if X problem is not solved in Y days, then complain to Z officer on ABC phone number, email address, etc. Origin: Budget 2021 will create an investor charter for financial investors across all financial products, share, bond, derivatives, commodities market, etc. SEBI notified this in 2021 November. This charter applies on entities that act as e.g. investors, mutual funds, stockbrokers, stock exchanges, depositories, underwriters, real estate investment trusts, REITs, infrastructure investment trusts, INVITS, and other collective investment schemes. Batch, PCB7, Mrunal's Econ. This charter applies on events e.g. initial public offerings, IPO, FPO, etc. 15.13.1 SEBI Charter Investors' Rights. Investors are entitled to fair treatment from SEBI and its regulated entities, e.g. mutual fund, stockbrokers, IPO underwriters, etc. Investors can expect complaint resolution from SEBI Scores portal in a time-bound manner if his complaint not solved by the SEBI-regulated entities, e.g. mutual fund, stockbrokers, IPO underwriters, etc., will be required to display on their website average time taken to solve complaints internally. 15.13.2 SEBI Charter Investors' Responsibilities. Investor must not share critical information, such as DMAT passwords, with anyone. Before making an investment, investors must read and understand offer documents related to a financial instrument, e.g. share, bond, ETF, etc., know the risks involved. Investor must read about various fees, service charges involved in a transaction. Investor must keep track of DMAT, a bank account statements. If any discrepancy, he must communicate to the concerned authorities. E.g. password hacked and shares transferred without knowledge. Investor preserve all transaction documents that will come in handy when filing complaints. While investing, investor must not make payments in cash beyond the prescribed limits. Pay through check or NEFT, etc., so it helps tracing fraudsters, tax evaders. REF 1A1 and 2B for more on cash transaction limits. 15.13.3 SEBI's Investor Charter, Criticism, a limitation. The charter is treated as reference guide. It has no legal binding or legal rights to investors. SEBI could not prevent recent scams or disasters in stock markets, such as Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund, Carver Broker DMAT scam, Illinois, and FS crisis, etc. This charter's features not specifically giving confidence on how SEBI will prevent scams in future. Retail investors get fooled into investing in bad, weak companies based on tips or recommendations by social media influencers, Telegram, or YouTubers. But charter not. Batch, PCB7, Mrunal's Economy Pillar #1C, SEBI Share Market page.